Diego Pavia returning and success in the portal has Vandy poised for a big 2025.
You are Locked On Vandy, your daily podcast on the Vanderbilt Commodores, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, folks? Welcome into the Locked On Vandy podcast on the Locked On Podcast Network. I'm your host, Corey Burton. Thanks for making Locked On Vandy your first listen each and every day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube as a part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. So 2025 is going to be a big year for Vanderbilt athletics. You know, I think this team, this university is set to do some big things in 2025. The basketball team is set to open up conference play, and right now they're on fire. And I don't know how that translates to the conference, but they're on fire nonetheless. And we'll talk about that. But Diego Pavia, let's talk football for a second. Diego Pavia is for sure returning, as is Jerry Kill and possibly Eil Stowers, even though it's not official. I think he's coming back. Is there big things on the horizon for 2025? I think that there are. So here's what you're looking at with Diego Pavia. You're looking at somebody who affects all areas of the program. I mean, he is the quintessential program uplifter. I mean, you notice when he was in the game, everything around him was elevated. Everybody was on top of their game. Everybody was balling out for him. And they it's an amazing thing when you get everybody pulling in the same direction. I mean, that's probably the healthiest Vandy's been. That helped in the bowl game, but just the all-out just toughness, the grit, the resilience. I mean, Georgia Tech was mounting a comeback early in the third quarter. I mean, this game, they brought it to within 1 point. It looked like they were poised to kind of take over, like Vandy was kind of petering out a little bit. Georgia Tech was starting to hit their stride. They had a good game plan against Diego Pavia, but I tell you what, man, this team adjusted and they did everything that they could. And a lot of that was Diego Pavia's leadership. He found ways to create. I mean, this is the quote right here. The last part of this quote, especially, when we needed him to create, he created. And that was true in this bowl game. When Pavia was in trouble, he created. He got himself out of a lot of situations. The touchdown pass to Stowers on the goal line, he had two people in his face, and he just kind of dipped down and sidearm tossed it out there. It was an RPO to Eil Stowers right there at the pylon. Touchdown, right? There was a play that preceded that where two guys had him dead to rights in the backfield. He somehow does some juke dance. I don't know what you call that move, but he did it and got out of it and got positive yards, which it went from a loss of 5 to a gain of 6 or 7 or something like that. It's just people block harder for him. The level of play rises around him. Everyone believes in what he is talking about. The defense played extra hard for him. And I think his presence is something within a leadership factor. And I cannot wait to see him with a full offseason cycle. Like when they come back in January to offseason program with Coach Steiner, you better believe Diego Pavia is going to be first in line. He's going to be leading the team, all that stuff. And this is going to be a fun year because I think the culture of togetherness really started happening in the summer. I mean, I think it happened throughout winter conditioning and spring practice, but not to the level it happened from fall camp on because, Pavia became officially onto the scene in June. So like really the summer was very pivotal to what this team could do and was really pivotal to the team's goals and the team's culture. And so you really saw what this team was capable of because I think Diego Pavia had a lot of guys believing, and then a lot of guys started repeating that, and a lot of guys started believing themselves, and then they started spreading the word, and then all of a sudden you have a whole team of believers, and they go out and topple Alabama. So what's next on the horizon here? Well, the connection that Eil Stowers and Diego Pavia have, I think, and I predicted it, and there's some rumors out there, but Stowers hasn't officially come out and said he's coming back. I think that he is. It's probably going to be one of those worst kept secret scenarios, but you have those two back on an offense that's adding playmakers by the day. You add one more piece at running back, maybe another piece at receiver. I don't know. There were some guys that stepped up in the bowl game that I think could play some. I think you still need that number one guy, but I think there's some guys that shown that they can do something within this passing game. Not sure what, but they can kind of factor in somehow. Eil Stowers, if he's back, which I think he will be the main piece of this Vandy offense. But this is this is going to be a fun year for them because you get a full offseason cycle with Diego Pavia, Eil Stowers, and the core of this team that led them to success. Langston Patterson, Brian Longwell. On defense, Dante Carter was a big part of this, even though he didn't play much on the field. I think he was a big part of the culture and the practices and the competitiveness there. I think, you look at guys like Eil Stowers, Diego Pavia. I think you're going to have some of these offensive linemen jumping in the mix. And, Junior Sherrill, I think, is going to be right there on the forefront. He's poised for a breakout. I hope he can. I hope he can be consistent enough and stay healthy enough to really have that breakout season that he probably deserves, because the fire that he showed in the bowl game was something I hadn't seen from him ever, right? And it was awesome to see just how he was trash talking, which, I mean, to a certain degree is fine, is great, and is wanted as long as it doesn't cross a certain line. I think you're okay with doing that. I know there's a lot of people out there kind of cringing at that comment, like, "Oh, trash talk." But I mean, trash talk is just a regular part of sports. I mean, it happens at all levels. There's all kind of trash talk. As long as you don't cross certain lines, I think it's okay. It's part of the game. But Junior Sherrill was on a whole nother level as far as competitiveness, trash talking, grit, toughness, all that stuff. He's going to make a lot of plays, and he's going to be one of the ones that I think is going to be on this leadership council. I don't know if it's an official council, but you kind of know that there's going to be like a group that's going to lead the pack, and the rest of the pack is going to kind of just believe in that. I think that leadership group's going to grow as the winter goes on, but it's going to be interesting to kind of see and kind of hear about some of the things coming out from winter conditioning. I want to see some of the growth in spring practice of some of these younger guys. I want to see one of these younger guys become an alpha wide receiver. I want to see McVay, Tristan Brown, Barrett. I want to see those guys, Fungi. I want to see him, see what he can do and emerge. He's a big target that showed me that he could run, and he's not just a big possession guy, but he showed me some things. He's got to polish up, but he showed me some things that I think will be good. And then, of course, Stowers, that connection, he's coming back. He's got to be coming back, right? And then a whole nother year in this offense, and I think this is going to be a big year. Diego Pavia said in his post-game comments, hey, if you want to win transfers, if you want to win a national championship, come to Vandy. We're building something here, right? The confidence just to say that at a place like Vandy is off the charts, right? I mean, that guy has some major stones to be able to say that kind of stuff. And actually, I love that kind of attitude. That's the kind of attitude that gets a winning tradition started. You have to have somebody that's crazy enough to believe that they can go in and win in a place like that, right? I'll give you an example of like some high academic school that was terrible at football for all of his existence, and all of a sudden they hire a football guy and then they get a few pieces in there and they become a national powerhouse. I'm not saying this is going to happen, but Miami did that back in the early 80s. When their football program was, you couldn't give away tickets. Like, from the U, the documentary from the U is a great retelling of how Miami's football program developed. Now, I'm not saying Vandy needs to turn into a bunch of like crazy antics and stuff that went on with the Miami teams. I'm not saying they need to turn into that, but the point that I'm making with that is it just takes one little spark and one person that's crazy enough to believe that you could win in a place that's never won before, right? Howard Schnellenberger decided, hey, I'm crazy enough to believe that you can win here at Miami. You're in a hotbed of recruiting in South Florida. You can do this if you do it right. I think Vandy could do this if they do it right, because Middle Tennessee is it's a fast-growing area as far as recruiting goes. Rutherford County, Davidson Academy, the private schools. There's some pockets in Knoxville, pockets in Memphis, and then there's here and there speckled across the state. pockets of talent. Like, I think Tennessee's growing as a state as far as high school players, and the emergence of the transfer portal, I think, makes Vandy viable because Nashville is a destination city. Nashville is somewhere where a lot of people want to live because it's the fastest growing country. It might as well be a country. It's the fastest growing city in the United States. And you have a lot of NIL potential there. And you just need somebody with just enough swagger to get it done. And then you add his top target and biggest, closest connection. And then you add the person that's orchestrating all of this, and Jerry Kill. You have that trio coming back for 2025. I think, Clark Lee has got to be, I think he's got to be thinking big things in 2025. And I know Clark Lee's thinking big things in 2025 with his defense. I mean, they've crushed it in the portal. They recruited some really athletic players and some guys that contributed a little bit here and there in 2024, this past season. So this is going to be a fun team, guys. Like this, it's going to be a way more athletic defense. Diego Pavia leading the charge as part of that group. He's not going to be the only one. He can't be the only one, but I think he's the most outspoken, and I think he's kind of the voice of. I think he's saying what everybody else is quietly believing, but he's just crazy enough to say it out loud, and it comes off as cocky. But as a quarterback, you kind of want your quarterback to be a little bit cocky, honestly. I mean, you don't want to be too cocky where he just kind of so full of himself he can't think about anything else. But I think you need a quarterback that's crazy enough to believe that kind of stuff, because that's how winning starts. You get a bunch of guys that believe. That's how they beat Alabama. They had no shot against Alabama, none whatsoever. That game was 3 touchdown spread. Like, that game was just an afterthought, right? Just another small speed bump for Alabama, and all of a sudden, 40-35, Vandy's tearing down goalposts because what? They believed, right? So I think it's going to be fun. I think Eil Stowers possibly coming back, which I think he is. He's coming back. So that's going to be a lot of fun. But this defense, man, I'm going to tell you, they're going to be athletic. Stick around. Hey, Rocket Money, did Rocket Money help you find any subscriptions you forgot about that you were paying for twice? Well, that definitely happened to me. I had a few subscriptions that I didn't even realize I was still paying for, and Rocket Money made it easy to track them all down. It's like having a personal assistant for your finances. So, Rocket Money is a personal finance app that helps you find and cancel unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps you lower bills so you can grow your savings. It brings everything together in one place, whether it's subscriptions, your spending habits, or even the goals you want to hit this year. Rocket Money has over 5 million users and has saved a total of $500 million in canceled subscriptions, saving members up to $740 a year when using all the app's premium features. So for me, the best features is the subscription tracker. I've used it to cancel services I wasn't using anymore, and I've already saved a ton, man. And plus, with their goals feature, I've been able to automatically set aside money for my future. No more stressing about budgeting every month. Man, it's been great. So cancel your unwanted memberships and reach your financial goals faster with Rocket Money. Go to rocketmoney.com/lockedon today. That's rocketmoney.com/lockedon. Again, rocketmoney.com/lockedon. Also, are you feeling some discomfort? Do you feel like you're just off, like you're out of line, you're just like got some tension, like you're walking around like this, like because of all the stress? Well, the Joint Chiropractic will help you with all that. They will help you relieve all that stress. They have 900 locations nationwide, so pick the nearest one to you. And what I love is that they have personalized plans. They evaluate you. They evaluate from head to toe, all your range of motions, all your joints, everything. And they make sure they get you properly aligned based on what your goals are and based on what they see as well. And they use all that information to come up with a plan. And that plan, it varies. It could be like a once a month maintenance deal. It can be like 2 times a week. It can be kind of anything in between. But whatever it is, they take care of you. It's personalized. It's customized. It's not just one size fits all. They come in, crack, and you're gone. It's very personalized, and they work with you to achieve your goals, not theirs. So The Joint Chiropractic, 900 locations nationwide. Stop by one. I promise you, you'll love it. All right, thanks for making Locked On Vandy your first listen each and every day. We are free on YouTube and wherever you find your podcast. If you need a second listen, I appreciate you every day. By the way, shout out to you guys. You guys make this even possible, man. I love it. And to the ones who wanted to see me at the Birmingham Bowl, if you listen to my live show, you'll know why I wasn't down in Birmingham. And I had a free ticket waiting on me apparently, and I couldn't take advantage of it. But anyway, if you need a second listen, Locked On SEC, that's where you want to go. We squad up. That drops every Thursday. I'm not sure when this next one's coming out, but we drop every Thursday. That's a lot of fun, and that'll be a lot of fun during basketball season because the SEC is now apparently turning into a basketball conference as well. So this will be fun. All the guys are great there. Steve Willis, Locked On Ole Miss. Brandon Olson, Locked On Gators. Clint Shamblin, Locked On Bulldogs. Zach Blackerby, Locked On Auburn. Are all pretty much regulars on the squad show. You should check out their shows as well. Look at Vandy's schedule for next year and make sure you subscribe to all of those shows so you can get intel on the enemy, right? So anyway, speaking of intel, man, as I'm looking at this team for 2025, yeah, I'm excited that Jerry Kill, Diego Pavia, Eil Stowers, they're all back. I think the passing game can only go up from 2024 to 2025. I'm excited about this offense. It's going to be even more explosive. I think you add a couple more pieces, a piece up front, which there's a portal guy coming from New Mexico State. The connection is unreal. It's getting kind of comical at this point. But the Vandy State Aggie doors are striking again. Shiza Pete is a big offensive lineman, literally, and is got an offer from Vandy. And I mean, it's hard to believe that he won't come to Vandy, but he's got some pretty big offers. Michigan, I think, seems to be also on the radar, but I think everybody in the Vandy camp is positive and very confident that he'll show up and add a big piece, literally and figuratively, to this offensive line. So that's something on the radar. Keep an eye on that. I think it's going to happen pretty soon, even though he won't be able to enroll until June. I think this is going to be kind of another game-changing piece on the offensive line, and he's apparently familiar with the scheme, and so why not? Let's get another piece there. But as excited as I am about this offense, man, this defense is going to be even better in 2024. Better than 2024, not in 2024, because 2024 is going to end in a couple of days. But this defense is going to be extremely athletic, and the 2024 defense was athletic enough. But they've added a couple pieces. They got some guys coming back, some guys that will presumably be healthy. I think they get even more athletic on the back end, especially at the safety position, and that's hard to believe with C.J. Taylor and Dericky Wright. But I think there's some more athletic pieces there coming in. I mean, C.J. Taylor had some incredible leadership capabilities, and he was a PhD in Clark Lee's defense. But I think that you add some pieces in that I think fit a little bit better now to the future of what Clark Lee wants to do. And C.J. Taylor was a good piece. It's just one of those things where, heck, you're getting way more athletic back there, and that's not a shot on C.J. Taylor. It's just collectively you're getting a unit back there in the secondary that's going to be hell on wheels, to paraphrase. I mean, Jordan Matthews coming in a corner, Dante Carter going to take over at free safety. That leaves Brandon Fontenette and C.J. Hurd as the other two safeties. You can get some 3 safety looks with Brandon Fontenette kind of acting as a linebacker, and C.J. Hurd can kind of act as like a field safety that can play back or can play close to the line of scrimmage, kind of depending on what you want to do coverage-wise. But you have some versatility back there, and I really, really love that. And you get a lot of athleticism. You get some guys that I think can really make this defense work and really be good communicators. And Dante Carter is going to come back as far as like the back end safety. I think he's going to be the guy. He's going to be somebody that's going to be well versed in this Clark Lee defense, and I think he's going to be kind of like that quarterback back there in the secondary, just kind of making sure everybody's on the right and same page and being able to get them lined up, get them adjusted to different formations, different route adjustments, things like that, if you're in zone coverage, communication is key. And I think he's going to be the one that is a good communicator at practice and film sessions. And I think he's going to have a really good understanding of how, and he sat on the sidelines a lot this year and watched. And I think he noticed how teams wanted to attack Vandy. And they knew that if they just push the ball vertically downfield, they could get some things going. Crossing routes really gave Vandy a lot of fits defensively, and those vertical, especially posts, those vertical deep shots were also troublesome. A lot of it was communication. Some of it was just their dude beat our dude, and any combination of in between. But it's going to be interesting again to see kind of where they're going to go coverage wise, what they're going to base out of. Is it going to be a week-to-week thing? Is there something that they can hang their hat on? I hope there's something they can hang their hat on, that if they need it, they need to get out of trouble, they can go to that. But coverage-wise, I think they're going to be able to do a lot more. And DeRicky Wright, as a deep safety, I think he was a little bit out of position. He's more of like a hybrid. He's more of what a Brandon Fontenette was, just kind of a down towards the line. He's just like a bigger body. And sometimes I think he had trouble covering deep. I think he had trouble getting over to some of the things, like if they went to like a 2-shell where they would play some cover 2 or into the boundary, or whatever coverages they wanted to go with. I think sometimes he struggled running sideline to sideline, and that's not his fault. I just think he was sometimes just out of position, and I think he just wasn't a good fit back deep, which again is no knock on him. It's just he was probably a little bit better closer to the line of scrimmage. I considered him more of like a edge linebacker, guy that's going to come up on a fast screen and blow up a blocker and go make a tackle. Like that's how I kind of visioned DeRicky Wright. But nonetheless, he played hard, and I think he understood what Clark Lee wanted to do, and that's why he was back there. And that goes a long way, right? That goes a long way, and knowing what to do is probably half the battle, if not 3/4 of the battle, as far as being in the right position. But sometimes I think you put a more athletic dude there that knows what he's doing, I think you get a little bit more bang for your buck. So I think that's what this defense is going to present, and I think this is what on the back end, especially what they're going to present. I'm a big fan of Dante Carter. I think he's just a little bit over his skis at times as a freshman. That happens, man. That's just part of being a freshman. I think sometimes you can get overwhelmed. And there was 2 older guys that stayed healthy in front of him, and he couldn't get a ton of playing time over them because they're veteran. They know what they're doing. They were making plays, and they were healthy. So again, just not as much opportunity for him as he would probably like, but he's going to get a whole lot of that opportunity coming up here in 2025. So you shift to the front. Brian Longwell and Langston Patterson are coming back. I love that linebacking duo. Longwell had a phenomenal bowl game. I felt like he was everywhere. Then you have Keanu Coate joining Miles Capers on the edge. Those two as a duo, that's a scary duo, man. Those guys coming off the edge, those guys playing and rushing the passer. Ooh, that's, teams had a hard time blocking Miles Capers, but I think that if it was just Miles Capers, I feel like teams could handle that a little bit better. And he got his sacks and he got in there and made some plays. But like, I felt like if he had another person on the other side that was equally as good, I feel like those two would have probably been able to do some things. Corday Sidnor coming back. I think he's gonna be exciting to watch from that defensive end position. He's gonna be kind of that anchor guy, strong side, field side, pretty good pass rush from the interior. If they go forefront, he can drop down to a 3 technique and really get after you. Zaylen Wood, I think, will be healthy this year. He had an ankle injury that bothered him the entire year. It was more severe than I think anyone wanted to believe, but he just kept aggravating it and just couldn't quite get himself back on the field. But he'll be back in 2025. I'm excited about that. His brief action was great, and he's going to be a force because he's athletic. He's going to be a force to be reckoned with. Aaron Bryant coming in from Texas. short. He's a big, stout, powerful guy. His stature. I think the reason why he's not playing at Texas because he's 6'3" and not 6'5", right? I think his height is playing. I think they're just scared of, hey, he's a short guy, so he can't make any plays at Texas, right? And so now, well, we'll let him go, and I hope he has a monster game against the Longhorns this year. But if he's somebody that can stay healthy, can be really good. Glenn Seabrooks, I'm really excited about him. I think he was the highest graded freshman defender this year. And he had a phenomenal year, and he's gonna get even better. I'm excited about that one as well. So this is going to be a fun year for this defense. Just super athletic. They're going to get after you. There's more depth, so guys can come in and rotate. It's going to be a fun year for the defense, and I'm excited about this 2025 group. And I'll continue. I'll overanalyze this group. I'll overanalyze the schedule and just kind of how I see this thing playing out. As more portal pieces come aboard, again, for football's sake, we're going to do a report card, just kind of how 2024 went, and then what are some New Year's resolutions, and then we'll get into hoops as well. So speaking of hoops, we'll talk about that. All right, welcome back. Wrapping up the show here. Locked on Vandy. Thanks for making us your first listen each and every day. I appreciate that. I appreciate everybody that wants to come on board. I appreciate everybody in the comments. I appreciate everybody making this an enjoyable experience. Even the people that come on board and trash talk. I love that too. As long as you don't make it personal, as long as you keep it to the content and not anything, no personal shots to me or anything like that. I can handle just about anything, and I'll respond to just about anything. And I enjoy that. And the criticisms and stuff like that, as long as it's constructive, I always welcome feedback as well. So don't be afraid to voice your opinion. If it goes over the line, I'll let you know. All right. But the Hoops team is ready to embark on the conference slate. Man, I know I sound like a broken record when I say I'm excited about 2025, but I mean, I kind of really am excited about 2025. I mean, this basketball season, I think for the first time in like 10 years, I feel like this team is, fun to watch. I mean, this team is going to be somebody, a group of guys that just kind of believe in each other and believe in what Mark Byington is putting down. And this team is, again, back in the summer, they were all just meeting each other for the first time. This is a completely brand new team. You got to keep that in mind. This is a completely brand new team. I can't say that enough. They all met each other for the first time. And I always make the joke that Vandy was playing and would be playing like, a collection, they would play like five guys that just met each other at the Y. And this team is definitely not that. They did meet each other for the first time. That is actually true. I don't think there was a single player that was on last year's group. So I'm excited to kind of see what this team has to offer, and I think it's going to be fun. And I think they're going to be excited. They're going to be they're going to be rocking and rolling. They're going to be ready to freaking roll, man. And this team, collection of point guards, man, that's my favorite thing, dude. I love the that everybody's the point guards, man. But this team is going to be running and gunning, man. This team is definitely a slasher team. I think all of them are pretty much get to the basket and get to the rim as quickly as you can, get to the line, move the ball around. I mean, watching this team is kind of like poetry in motion, right? And I get they've played Austin Peay and College of Charleston and all that, but they had that Charleston tournament, and even though their one loss is to Drake, but they beat Georgia Tech. They beat. They didn't beat Georgia Tech. That was football. But they They went to the finals in that tournament. They beat TCU in that deal, and they just, again, they showed that their ability to score and to put the ball and move the ball and put it in the right places, I think shows you that just that alone shows a remarkable improvement, because last year was kind of like ISO ball. Like one guy would get it, just launch it randomly, and you're just not sure. But this team is more of a team. This team moves the ball. This team is playing like they have a plan. And I really like that. I really appreciate that about this team. And I think that's going to go a long way in conference play. I think that's going to surprise a few folks, because there's going to be teams that are going to struggle to stop that. There's going to be teams that struggle with transition offense. And I think they're going to win those games. They've got to learn how to shoot, because there's going to be teams that as they kind of go, they're going to get shut down a little bit. Teams are going to kind of force the ball around the perimeter, and you're going to have to make some big time shots from back there to open back up what you really want to do, which is get the ball from the point guard to the point guard, and then dump it into the point guard, and then shoot it over to the other point guard, and then that point guard goes to the rim and scores, right? That's what you want to happen. And so this is going to be a fun conference slate, and I'm looking forward to it. And this basketball team is going to be incredible. But this is where I'm going to leave you guys. So I hope you guys enjoy. It's good to be back and rolling. So my quest to 1,000. Let's get to 1,000 subscribers. I don't know what the incentive is. I'll come up with it, but let's get to it. And I look forward to each and every day with y'all and giving you guys the Vandy content. So with that, see you back here on next time on the Locked On Vandy podcast on the Locked On Podcast Network. Anchor down, behave yourselves. Peace.